Hello, my name is Marie Toole, and I'm an AARP Colorado volunteer. AARP can see and feel the trends. People 50 and over are more active, both physically and mentally, than ever before. They aren't slowing down. In fact, they're preparing themselves to do more of the things they love. They're taking the time to learn new things. They know the importance of life balance and making sure that leisure and fun are significant parts of their healthy lifestyle. As part of that get up and go attitude, we're hosting webinars like Let's Chat Nutrition with culinary nutritionist Michelle Fox, where we can discover ways to keep our nutrition in check so that as we age, we can continue to do the things we love to do without limitations. In tonight's episode, is it hot in here? Decreasing your menopausal symptoms through nutrition. Michelle will discuss natural ways to alleviate the symptoms of menopause and regain control of your life. So we'll have a Q&A period after the presentation. In that spirit, we welcome you to enjoy our Let's Chat Nutrition webinar. While we hope you learn something new and helpful, we want you to have yourself some fun and relax. If you need captions, please note that you can start them yourself if you go to the More section located at the Zoom toolbar at the bottom and click on Captions. Also, we will be sending handouts from tonight in an email to all participants along with the recording link. If you'd like to hear more about healthy living and nutrition, please check our website, www.aarp/Colorado /food/healthy eating. We look forward to connecting with you. And here's my friend, Michelle Fox.
Thank you so much, Marie. I am so excited to be here. This is sincerely one of my most favorite topics, probably because I hit menopause about 3 years ago, and because I have found some solutions for me. It just excites me to share it with my friends and community because I just don't want anybody suffering. And looking at the numbers of people who registered for tonight, that tells me you want some more answers too. So thank you all so much for being here. Before I jump all the way in with this workshop, and it is a workshop. So when I say that, I want you to be prepared to lean in, to participate, to work it on out, because I want to help you find answers for yourself. So with that said, I would love to know not only where you're from, but what did you either eat for dinner, or you're preparing for dinner, or you had for dinner tonight? So I would say lamb chops in Denver. And if you would just indulge me, I would love to read the chat so I can see who's in the room. Funny aside, right before we hit record and open the doors, Allison, our amazing program director here at AARP, she was spying on me on Instagram, and she noticed the lamb chops I was making, and I'm like, they were as delicious as they looked. So let's see. Ooh, Diane has barbecue chicken. Vanessa had the veggie tacos. Oh, Michelle in Denver. Hello. A hamburger. Love it. Yvette says she's in Aurora and not so hungry. Okay, I get that. Val has a salad. Love it. Let's see. Let me read a couple more and then we'll get to the good stuff. Although this is really fun for me to see. Like, do you ever as well, like, kind of sometimes wish you were like a fly on the wall just to like kind of peer in on your neighbors and see what they're cooking? Like, this kind of feels like that to me. Let's see. Denise had, fancy. Denise in Denver. Asian slaw, avocado, strawberries, yummy, or avocado and strawberries, delish. And Arlene, turkey spaghetti. Oh, you guys are amazing. Well, welcome. So glad you were here. We are going to find some answers is my goal for you, because again, I don't want anybody in my community to suffer. So as far as what I can promise to you tonight, I actually have 4 workshop promises. 1, I'm going to share my 3 pillars to help you create a body that you love. Workshop promise number 2, we are going to explain how your diet can help eliminate your hormonal woes. Workshop promise number 3, I truly hope to inspire you to look at your current dietary choices and workshop promise number 4, my absolute favorite one, which is we're going to have some fun tonight. Can I see a 1 in the chat box if you've been to any of my workshops before, whether it's here with AARP or separate? I can tell you I've been with AARP, I think we're going on, I think almost 3 years now. And so it's always fun to see who returns for either the cooking workshops. This year has been our first year to try the actual nutrition education workshops like tonight. So either way, let's see. So we've got some first time. Ricky's been to some of the cooking classes. Awesome. Welcome back, Ricky. It looks like Chris had tikka masala in Fort Collins. Nice. Yum. Let's see. Okay. So we've got quite a few first timers and a few returning. So either way, welcome. We are going to have some fun. So with that, to ensure that we all get the most out of this experience, I want to encourage you to get comfortable. Like grab some water. This is a great time to go grab some water. If you are rushing to this workshop, feel free to snack or finish your dinner. Light up the chat box. Any workshops I do, they're most likely going to be community-based. And so I want you loving on each other. When I get excited about nutrition, I can sometimes talk really fast. And so if you miss something that I said, feel free to put the question in the chat box, and there's a great chance that somebody in the community will jump in there and fill you right in. Let's see. If you could stay mute until the very end, you have my word. I'm minding the time. I've got the clock right up there. I will say 15 minutes at the end for pure Q&A. And so at that time, we will invite you to unmute if you want to ask me your question directly, or of course, we've got our handy dandy chat box. You can ask me questions there. Marie mentioned that a replay email will go out to you, and that will have the replay of this video and also the handout. Allison, do you have the handout that you could put in the chat box for people to work with? We'll give her a moment as I go through my list to make sure I got all of the housekeeping items on. Oh, last but not least.
It's me, the voice from beyond.
Hello.
So everybody should have received the handout in their reminder email that they could download and open, but I will also find it and put it in the chat here.
Awesome sauce.
Okay.
Thank
and then
you.
It will also be in the thank you email at the end. So you will definitely get it.
Beautiful. Okay, that is helpful. Thank you so much. So then the last but not least item I wanted to share with you all is that I do have a second screen here where I can see the presentation. So if you see my attention moving, please know you still have 100% of my attention. I am showing up for you this evening. And then just a second reminder, I will be mindful and I will absolutely protect 15 minutes at the end just for you if you want the Q&A. So if you have questions and you can hold on to them, awesome, hold on to the end. But if you have something really urgent, then of course, put it in the chat box. And if Allison can't answer you, she will get my attention. So you, my friend, are in the right place if you have struggled with belly bloat, insomnia, low energy, and or excess weight. You are in the right place if you wonder if there is a connection between your current health your current health symptoms and your diet. You are in the right place if you've decided to pay more attention to your health. And you are also in the right place if you know it's time to make a change to your nutrition. Whatever your motivation, I am here this evening and I fully support you. So as Marie introduced, I am Michelle. I am a culinary nutritionist and a health coach. 2 other titles that I love that I just would be remiss if I didn't mention, which is I am also a mom and a wife. And yes, I am a dog mom too. That's my Chloe Baba. For my friends who have seen some of the cooking classes, I'm sure you've seen some of her cameos as she walks behind me. So with that said, another part of my journey is that I did get my degree in applied psychology at NYU. A few years later, I traveled to Belize and I worked with a shaman where I learned to literally talked to plants and found out how, which plant helped which body part. So that's been a beautiful part of my nutrition journey. Another part of the journey is that I went to the Interconnection Institute here in Denver, Colorado, where I got certified in meditation. And then most recently, I got my my certification at the Academy of Culinary Nutrition. So enough about me tonight. Let's talk about you. Are you ready to feel better? Let's see it in the chat box. I want to see a kale yeah, or yes, or I'm ready, or I'm curious, or I just showed up so I had nothing better to do. I want to see what's happening in this organization, in this community. I am ready. Oh, we got a kale. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Yes, I'm ready. Another kale. Yeah. Okay. I love this community. You guys are amazing. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So because you can probably already tell, I'm a very transparent individual. I'm showing you right up front. These are the 7 steps we're going to walk through. We're going to talk about drinking more water. We're going to talk about significantly reducing your sugar intake, and stay with me. Don't walk off on that one. I know that can be a toughie, but I promise I'm going to give you some really fun and hopefully helpful tips to help you there. We are going to talk about finding new tools to manage your stress. We, of course, are going to touch on exercise. We will talk about eliminating caffeine. Again, stay with me. I promise. Remember my workshop promise number 4. I'm going to keep it fun. We are going to touch on releasing the gluten. And then we also are going to talk about considering bioidentical hormones. I know that's the heated one. So it's not actually why I saved it for last, but I have a feeling if you're anything like me, you're going to want to talk a little bit about that. So let's jump right in and start with step number 1. Whew. This one, speaking of transparency, I'll even go so far as saying vulnerability. I had my annual checkup 3 weeks ago, and I was talking to my doctor, and it was so interesting. Me, the nutritionist, who's always, talking to my clients about increasing their water, it turned out I was actually dehydrated because I was using a formula for my body 5 years ago, which, by the way, was 20 pounds less. So 5 years ago, it was fine. But 5 years now, plus 20 pounds, I needed to be drinking more water. And sure enough, my sleep has gotten better already. My digestion has gotten better already just by increasing my water. And then, of course, as we're talking about tonight, the hormonal woes, I feel like a new woman. And that's simply just by drinking more water. So we are going to continue to talk about menopause and all the symptoms around menopause. And in a minute, I'll talk to you about how you can figure out how to find the amount of water that works for your body. But I will tell you that when we are having the hot flashes that tend to come with menopause and or night sweats, we are actually losing that water. And yes, it might seem obvious, kind of like me feeling like, oh yeah, I've got this, I've got the water. But sometimes we just need a reminder. There's a lot of things tonight that I'm going to tell you that you're going to be like, yeah, I already know that. I invite you to just lean in a little bit, because maybe it's time to recheck some things out or relook at a few things. So water is one of them. We know that water can help us to regulate our body temperature. It also, the more water we drink, it can reduce the intensity and the frequency of hot flashes. I will say, and as a nutritionist, this is probably a great time to kind of pause and give the disclaimer that I am not a medical professional. So anything I share tonight is from research that I've done for myself and or for my clients, and it's for educational purposes. And also, of course, entertainment. Do they call that? I think the cool kids call that edutainment. So tonight is edutainment purposes. So take what works for you. And of course, anything you might be curious about or any big changes you want to make, please talk to your medical professional. So with that being said, drinking more water can also help us to maintain the optimal vaginal moisture. I know a lot of women who are embarking upon menopause and or perimenopause, that's one of the big complaints is the dry vaginal area. Well, guess what? Water helps that. a lot, and it can promote more comfort in that area. Water, you've probably been hearing it as, since you were a child, that water can help our detox process. Well, when we're going through menopause, all of these hormones, the cascade of hormones that are moving through our body, they're also sloughing off toxins. And so the more water we're drinking, the more toxins we can clear right on out. Another thing that may or may not seem obvious, but when we're going through menopause, our hormonal structure is very similar to when we're going through our teenage years. I actually have 2 teenage daughters in the house right now. And so it's actually sometimes more entertaining than not. But for them to be going through their hormonal woes, and for me at the same time, it's just been, I'll say, an interesting experience. But drinking the water has definitely helped to balance out some of my hormones and help me just feel better in my body. It's helped me to not hold on to some of the water bloat that I was having before, because my body was, trying to hold on to the water versus knowing that, oh, we're going to get enough. We can just flush it. So actually, let's just take this moment together and just have a sip of water. Whatever you're doing, let's grab some water. All right. So bloating. I know that's another issue that a lot of us can experience during this time. And the water, again, is going to help to flush out some of those toxins to help eliminate some of that bloating. This quote by Dr. Mark Hyman, I wanted to share this because, 1, I really admire his work, but 2, it just kind of backs up what we're seeing and what I'm saying about the research with menopause, which is our bodies absolutely need clean water. Good hydration is essential for good health. Our bodies are mostly made up of water, so if we don't replenish often with the cleanest form, we're going to be in trouble. So the workshop piece of this is, if you want to go ahead and download this workbook, if you haven't already, these boxes here are printable, which is really fun. That's my little side thing where I'm kind of geeking out about, which is I figured out the technology of how to actually fill these boxes. And to be fair, it was my amazing digital marketing assistant who helped me find that. But all of that to say, you can actually go ahead and print out your thoughts, feelings, reflections on these pages when you see these squares right here in your PDF. And or if you are more of a tactile person and you want to print it out and then write, then that works as well. So I just paused because I'm like, oh, that was cool. It looked like somebody figured out how to get on here. That is okay. I don't know how that's happening, but that is really interesting. We're just going to move on and keep learning together. So as far as moving on, this is going to be for your eyes only. Obviously, my friends who have figured out how to write here to share, that's for all of us, but on your own personal download, feel free to write, like, what will you commit to this week? And whether you are going to jump into this journal now, I would encourage you to jump into it later as well, if you can make the time for that. But the third option is if you're willing to put it in the chat box, it gives us that extra level of accountability. If you're saying, hey, community, this week I commit to drinking an extra glass of water, or I commit to drinking water first thing in the morning, or anytime I go on a walk, that's going to cue me to drink 2 glasses of water. Like, just give it one moment. I'm actually going to put this on a timer for 2 minutes. And so I want you to take this time to either write it in the chat box, write it on your own personal copy, and just really give yourself a moment to think, like, how can I be better for my body, for myself, when it comes to the subject of drinking water? Oh, and as I'm reading Allison's comment, sorry to interrupt your flow, but I realized I guess I did not end up speaking. I think the technology threw me off a little bit. So bear with me. I appreciate your graciousness and your patience. So the way that you would find out how much water you would need for your body, I like to recommend you take your body weight. So let's say you're 150, divide that by half. So that'd be 75. And then that would be the ounces. So if you're a 150-pound person, you would want a minimum of 75 ounces of water every day, which is very doable. I'll show you. I have my big old 32-ounce water bottle that sits at my desk every single day. So I see it right there. It's just not cute to drink when you're on screen, which is why I have a cute glass over here. Ooh. All right, 1 minute, one more minute, and I promise not to interrupt.
Hey, Michelle, there's some questions in here. I don't know if you want to answer them now or if we want to save them for later.
Yeah, if we can save them for later, it would be wonderful. I know I just read somebody that said, say that again. So I'm amazed. I'm guessing it's the calculation, which,
Yeah.
Okay.
Which it looks like somebody answered it.
Oh, good. Okay.
So, okay.
So just as a reminder, it's your weight, divide that by 2, and those are the ounces. So if you weigh around 150 pounds, divide that by 2 is 75. So you want a minimum of 75 ounces per day. Okay. So sweet. I am loving these accountability warriors. People are stepping up. So Marie saying, every time I use the restroom, I drink a glass of water. Awesome. I love that. Rose is committing to drinking more water. Sweet. Ricky says, planning to switch from iced tea to water. Yes. Because just as a side, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but caffeine actually is very dehydrating to us. And so kudos for noticing that. Let's see. Oh, how funny. Looks like so Marie also had teenagers and menopause at the same time. So yeah, so you get my pain. All right, let's see. I'll read 2 more and then we'll move on to step 2. Gwendolyn says, every time I see water, I drink it. Love it. Love, love, love it. And ooh, Arlene, I love that. So this is a great tip. Water by my bed to drink as soon as I awake. Beautiful. Yes, whatever it takes to remind ourselves. Because again, our bodies are fasting while we're sleeping, but we're also, a lot of us, whether it's the night sweats or not, people that don't have night sweats, we're still releasing water because a lot of us, just naturally sweat and or, toxins are sloughing through. And so first thing in the morning, no matter where you are in your life cycle, it's a beautiful gift to your body to hydrate. So with that, I'm sharing this gift with you. This is the first gift I'd love to share with you, which is a water tracker. This one doesn't have any clickable buttons online or on your PDF. However, if you print it, it's just a nice reminder. I know some people like to either keep this on their fridge to remind them, or for my busy professionals, you can keep that on your desk and kind of just mark it when you finish a glass. And then this way it can just keep you accountable to your commitment. All right, so step 2, significantly decrease your sugar intake. So sugar can be absolutely dehydrating in so many ways. It's inflammatory to a lot of our organs. It is inflammatory to our hormone, the cascade of hormones. And this is kind of one of those, topics that I feel are for everybody, whether you're in menopause or not. But anytime we can reduce our sugar, the more energy, the more vibrancy we're going to have in our lives. So as I read my notes here, the research shows that sugar can exacerbate imbalances, leading to increased irritability, mood swings, and of course, the energy fluctuations. Sugar consumption can trigger inflammation within the body, contributing to joint pain, bloating, and weight gain, which of course are all very common concerns during menopause. But the great news is by cutting out sugar, women can stabilize their blood sugar levels, helping to regulate the mood swings and reduce the irritability. And of course, it will help to reduce the risk of developing conditions such as diabetes and other cancers. I said other cancers, I apologize, other diseases, which can be prevalent during menopause. So opting for a diet rich in whole foods, proteins, and fiber, while avoiding the added sugars and the processed foods can promote the hormonal balance, alleviate the menopausal symptoms, and support overall well-being. So let's talk about this a little bit. So I often talk about my PFF method, which stands for protein, fiber, and healthy fat. And if you just look at your meal, every meal, whether it's a snack, breakfast, lunch, dinner, any meal you consume, if it has a combination of those three things, protein, fiber, healthy fat, you're going to be satiated for longer, and it's going to support your brain because your brain immediately gets the message of, oh, I have all the nutrients I need. And so a few ways to get that is the organic meats, fish, soy protein. And I specifically said organic with the soy because I know soy can often be one of those topics that people feel very strongly either for or against. But I will say in my research, especially for women going through menopause, if you're going to have the soy products, I just really want to make sure you know that it is organic so that you're not getting any extra toxins in while you're enjoying your soy protein. Eggs, and you can read from here. There's so many options. And why I wanted to kind of lay it out this way is because when I ask people to release their sugar, often those what I like to say, the teenage triggers or alarm bells can go off of like, she's taking something away from me. This feels scary. And the truth is, it's not scary because there are so many foods that are out in nature, so many foods that are in the grocery store that we can cook and enjoy that are sugar-free and health and brain supportive. Another thing with this is a lot of women I hear complain about depression and anxiety during this time. And these can be, a lot of women will say, I've been happy or at least kind of balanced most of my life, but somehow when I hit 45, 46, 52, all of a sudden I have this fog, like whether it's foggy brain or this grayness, and it's like, what is wrong with me? And my answer is almost always, there's probably nothing wrong with you. It's just your hormones are shifting. And so now we have to support your body in its new form. Obviously you can continue to eat the way you always have, but it might not be as supportive. And knowing that you have these other amazing, delicious options, hopefully you're going to choose those options to help yourself feel better. So let's go on to our next page. So I'm going to give you another 2 minutes. And in this reflection, I'm just asking you gently, lovingly, nourishingly, how can you decrease your sugar intake this week? And I want you to get real with yourself. Like, what can you commit to? Is it going to be one less candy bar? Like, I want you to keep it realistic. Don't tell me you're never going to have a candy bar again, because, again, that teenage brain that can come get triggered sometimes, it's going to make sure you get that candy and that sugar. So tell me something that you can feel realistic about. Again, feel free to put it in the chat box and or write it in your journal. And the 2 minutes will start now. Okay, so we have about 30 seconds left, but I'm just reading some of these notes in the chat box. And I mean, number one, you are amazing. And thank you for sharing. And number two, I'm seeing a lot of using sugar-free options. So I love that. I will tell you, monk fruit sugar is an awesome substitution. Stevia is even better because it's from nature. And for my friends who are wanting to kind of slowly get off the sugar, I think stevia is an amazing like in between and or maybe forever. I mean, I still use stevia and I don't eat sugar and I do not miss it. So that's one way. And then if you're really just craving something sweet and you want to kind of be in the middle, I would say coconut sugar. It's a little bit higher on the glycemic index than stevia and or the monk fruit, but it's going to be a whole lot better than the white sugar, which is way up on the glycemic index. So awesome. Thank you for being more mindful. And we can do a whole workshop on that. In fact, I think we may have already done that and or maybe we have one coming up. But just so you know, a lot goes into that. So be gentle with yourself. But I just really, with this workshop, I want you to just be curious about the things that you can do to feel better in your body. All right. So step 3, let's manage your stress. So right now, this is going to be an interactive. It's going to be under 30 seconds. But if you can, I want you to get comfortable in your seat. And this always gets me excited because I feel like I need this right now too. But I want you to put your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your belly. And we're just going to take 3 deep breaths. And again, I promise it's going to be under 30 seconds. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. And in your own timing, I want you breathing in through your nose and feel your tummy coming out. And then breathe out through your mouth and feel your tummy coming back in. And do 2 more breaths in your own time. How do you feel? You're welcome to just talk to me straight to the screen. I can feel your vibration, or you can type it in the chat box, but that was just 30 seconds right there where we literally lowered our cortisol production levels, cortisol known as our stress hormone. So we just lowered our stress. Shauna says she feels good. Valicia says, nice. Mary Lou says more relaxed and centered. Yes. And I'm looking around and I'm noticing more colors. My couch looks a little bit more vibrant there. My flowers look a little more vibrant over there. And I just like to do that exercise to show you that it doesn't take a lot. So my friends who are saying, I'm too busy for that, or I put people ahead of myself, which of course is a whole nother conversation, but this is just one simple tool you can do, like in the car, if somebody cuts you off in traffic, or at your desk at work, or, while you're laying down at nighttime before you go to bed. So you can just kind of clear your mind of the thoughts. The longer you do it, of course, you're probably going to have better results. But that example right there shows us it doesn't take a lot to feel better. So stress can actually be what is causing some of your hot flashes. I know in the beginning, when I went to my doctor and I was telling her, not loving what my body's doing. Like, I didn't even know it was menopause. I'm like, because I felt I was too young. I think I was 48 no, 47, because I'm 50 right now. And she's like, oh, it might not be menopause. It could just be stress. And at the time I was going through a lot of stress. And I noticed like every time like a stressful event would happen, whoosh, my whole body covered in water. So it's like, yes, that was part of it. But thank goodness I advocated for myself and I kept going back. And I'm like, no, I think there's something happening. And sure enough, I was coming into menopause. And so I just also wanted to show you the connection so that you know that if your life is feeling a little bit more stressful lately and or has been a little bit more stressful in the last 2 to 3 years, that could be what's setting off some of these uncomfortable symptoms. Um, let's see. I just wanted to share also that according to the Cleveland Clinic, in one of their studies, they suggested that anxiety may be a good predictor of a hot flash coming. So if you have felt your heart kind of beating a little bit fast and then you notice like you're drenched in water and then you're cold afterward, I just want to share with you, you're not alone and you're not going crazy. That is part of it. But let's keep talking about ways that we can avoid some of that. So, a few ways to manage this stress is to take walk breaks throughout the day. I know having a dog has been hugely helpful for me because looking at those puppy dog eyes, and I do work from home, I really have no excuse not to take her out in the morning and in the afternoon. But even in the afternoon walks, I notice I always come back to my desk more refreshed and ready to be more creative. And so I offer that to you. Meditate and or pray during your morning routine. That's one of the things that have helped me to stay balanced. And as we just did a 30-second meditation, you have proven to yourself, this stuff works. Move your body. People know I'm known to be dancing in the kitchen. I'm dancing on my walks. Like moving the body will be helping us to move those toxins through again, along with the extra water we're going to be increasing, right? Wink, wink. But the dance, the yoga, running, walking, just moving our body is helping us to move those hormones through. And then my favorite one is to put you time on the calendar. And yes, that's you. I'm talking to you. When I was working in corporate about 3 or 4 years ago, I remember speaking to a therapist at the time. Yeah, clearly we're friends. I'm leaning in with this one. And I was telling her just how freaking stressed I was. And she asked a simple question, which is, when do you have time for yourself? I'm like, that's a silly question. How would I have time? I have a husband, I have children, I have a dog, I have this, high stress job. And she's like, we're going to fix that. And so what we did is I put it on my calendar and I blocked it as Michelle time. So every Tuesday night after work, for a minimum of 2 hours, I would either take myself out to dinner or to the movies or just sit in the park. But my family knew, like, don't ask me for anything if it's Tuesday night. There's no mommy, there's no wife, there's only Michelle time. And so I just offer that to you as well. If you have felt a bit overwhelmed with your schedule, like just put it on your calendar. And so now with these next 2 minutes, you have the opportunity. You can either journal what you might brainstorm here and or take this time to physically pull out your calendar and put a recurring block of time that you know that you can protect for yourself. All right, 2 minutes start now. Mm, awesome. And thank you. Gwendolyn, whom I love, just said, I usually listen to classical music. That's a really good one. Especially driving in traffic, I can often put on the classical music, which just brings me back to center, tells me it's going to be okay. So, wow, time really flies. We are only at step 4, and I promised you we will have 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. So I'm going to talk a little bit faster, but please know you have your download on the workbook. You have the option to rewatch this if you want, but I'm going to kind of move through now because I do want to honor this time and I want to be able to connect with you. So step 4 is exercise. We just touched on it a bit, but I cannot overstate how important exercise is. It calms the nervous system. And with exercise, I would strongly recommend you look at yoga and or walking for that. Group fitness is an amazing way to, of course, increase our exercise, but it's great to increase our oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, which helps us to feel like we're bonding and it boosts our mood. I can tell you that menopause is associated with a decline in estrogen levels, and that can contribute to bone loss. We were actually talking about that before we went live. But menopause, I don't know if everybody knows that, but it can, because of some of the symptoms, it can contribute to bone loss and muscle weakness. And so we want to encourage you to be lifting those weights as much as possible, whether you're in the gym or making weights out of water bottles or doing, push-ups or getting a video off of YouTube that you can follow for your fitness. I really want to encourage you to make fitness a priority. So I loved this quote that I found from Ralph Waldo Emerson, which is, the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. All right. And as you know, you've got your reflection, and I'm going to trust that you either journal tonight or take some time, maybe this weekend, you just really carve out some time to journal, whether you're using this workbook or your own journal. And I would like to inspire you to perhaps take some of these prompts to pay attention to you, because I want you feeling better in your body. Step 5. Eliminate caffeine. I'm glad we get to talk through this fast so that you're not throwing tomatoes at me, because this is the part where people are like, Michelle, why are you taking away my coffee? And I promise you, I am not taking away your coffee. I'm not taking anything away from you. I just simply want you to know what is happening to your body when you are ingesting that caffeine. I know I saw a few people in the chat talking about their attachment to their iced tea. And so I would say, I see you. I'm loving you from here. And I would love to encourage you to perhaps drop the caffeine habit, because when we're ingesting caffeine, it's increasing our cortisol, which is our stress hormone. And as we just talked about, the stress can absolutely incite the hot flashes. It can incite the night sweats, and nobody has time for that. The second, it's affecting our adrenaline, which can be activated with every sip of caffeine. And for my friends who still aren't convinced, I do want to let you know, whether it's the tea or coffee, even green tea has the caffeine. Caffeine can often have what we call a shelf life from anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. And so when you're sipping that caffeine, that means it's staying in your brain, moving around for 4 to 6 hours. And so if you're drinking that coffee midday, and if you're one of my friends who struggles with sleep, that could be one of the many reasons why. And so whether you're listening to me or doing the research, I would love to encourage you to drop that caffeine. Some other reasons that I'll just run through really quick. As we mentioned, it stimulates the release of stress hormones. It often can disrupt our sleep patterns. It can cause even more anxiety than the natural anxiety that menopause can cause. As we just talked about, it may decrease bone density. It absolutely will cause dehydration. I have to put the may in there because, again, not a doctor, but everything I've seen, caffeine definitely decreases hydration, and it can also cause addiction to stimulant properties. with that said, the choice is yours. All right, step 6, releasing the gluten. I am a nutritionist, so of course we're bringing it back to nutrition. Gluten, if you're not familiar, it is a protein found in wheat, barley, rye, and some related grains. And with that said, gluten can be absolutely inflammatory for our guts. Our guts are what processes all of the minerals and nutrients that we need to feed our brains. And so specifically when we're in menopause, we need to treat our body with extra care than we ever have before. And so if you are open to the idea, I would strongly recommend just trying it. Don't take my word for it. Go 3 days without gluten and just see how you feel. So I want to read this together. Eliminating gluten from your diet, it does not mean sacrificing taste or variety. There is a wide range of gluten-free alternatives available, including grains like quinoa, amaranth, and rice, as well as numerous gluten-free products. Embracing a gluten-free lifestyle can lead to culinary exploration and the discovery of new and nutritious foods to enhance your dietary repertoire during menopause. And so I just wanted to add that to encourage you to stay excited. Like, there are so many new things that we can explore versus focusing on the things that no longer serve our body. So you do have a place in your journal to reflect on that information. You also, the second gift I wanted to share with you tonight is a meal planner. In your handout now, you have a meal planner, which is going to make it that much easier for you to plan ahead so that you don't have these temptations waiting around for you. You're going to know every single night what I'm having for dinner. That's actually my favorite column. Again, that's a whole nother workshop, but just so you know, I want you to have this as a foundation so that you can look ahead and just feel more empowered to make the choices that serve your body. So step 7, the final one, I mentioned I left at the end because it can be, what's the word? I don't know. People have very strong feelings about this. And yes, I will admit the research is still out. Some people love the idea of bioidentical hormones. Some people hate it. You know me, I'm going to say, listen to your body. I will say at the time of this workshop, I myself am on bioidentical estrogen and bioidentical progesterone, and that I am working with an OBGYN, and we are only using the hormones from a compounding pharmacy, and that truly has saved my life, I feel, in a lot of ways. Or I should say, because that's a little dramatic, I will say it's saved my enjoyment of life because hot flashes are gone. Although I am human, and because we're all getting personal today, I will let you know when I do have that occasional cup of coffee or that occasional glass of red wine, whew, immediately I am drenched and I'm still on the pills. And so take it or leave it. But if you are curious, you may want to talk to your medical professional about that. So the reflection here, I just ask you to really check in with yourself. Like, how do you feel about trying the bioidentical hormones? You are the only one that can make that choice for yourself. So thank you. Now is the time for Q&A. Looks like we have 10 minutes left here, but I promise I'm happy to stay an extra 5 so that we get the whole 15 minutes. So let me stop sharing. You are welcome to turn on your camera if you want to ask me a question directly, and or if you want to ask the question in the chat, you're welcome to do that as well. Let me put this on gallery so I can see who's with us tonight. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, you guys are beautiful. All right. So Jenny's asking, what about whole wheat versus white refined flour? Yeah. So Jenny, those both are wheat. And so if at all you can replace those with alternatives, that would be recommended. I will tell you that Bob's Red Mill, they make an amazing gluten-free flour that tastes, I think, the same. And so with that said, though, when you are baking, you probably want to refer to some gluten-free resources. So I always say go straight to Dr. Google and make sure you have what you need, because some gluten-free baking can be a little dry because the wheat does have more binding in it. But there's things you can do to overcome that, like xanthan gum. I know some people use chia seeds as a binder. So there's absolutely ways to make amazing gluten-free products. So I hope that helps. Laura's saying some of the alternatives that she's tried looks like lentil, sorghum, teff. Teff, just be careful of, because that can often be adulterated with some wheat. But yes, love the lentil flours to make something delicious. Chris is asking, any recommendation on herbal supplements to help hot flashes? Yes, thanks for asking. And again, I always feel like I can never be too safe, but to say I am not a doctor, I will say what I have seen and what has worked for me is calcium and magnesium. The calcium, again, is going to help to support the bone health, so calcium supplements. But then the magnesium is not only going to help to keep our digestive tracts moving, because calcium can sometimes stuff us up, but the magnesium is amazing at helping us sleep at night as well. So those are the two supplements that pop up for me around menopause. There's been some great research around maca powder as well. I know in the beginning of my journey, I was putting maca powder in all of my smoothies, and I did notice a slight improvement. So that was great. But that was before I started taking the bioidentical hormones. And once I did that, I kind of went back a little bit, kind of slid back into my regular life, I would say. And I know somebody in the chat earlier asked how long to stay on these hormones. That is an awesome question, first of all. Second of all, that is absolutely between you and your doctor. I can tell you for me, at my yearly check-ins, that is the number one question I'm asking, like, is this dose still good? And is it still safe for me to be on? And so far, 2.5 years later, she's like, yep, we're good. But I don't expect to be on them more than 2 to 3 more years. So that's been my choice. So awesome question there. I need a little sippy.
Michelle, I have a bunch of questions throughout the whole thing.
Awesome.
So, and I'm not, this one's kind of down towards like recently, but I didn't hear you answer it. So Ricky asked if you must have mentioned something about magnesium. So you take your magnesium in the evening, right?
I do. Great question. Yes, I do a magnesium glycinate because I find that's easier on my tummy. And with that one, you would take up to bowel tolerance. So I would probably start with 1 pill. And if that feels great, I would maybe the next night do 2 pills and see how your bowels feel in the morning.
Perfect. And then there's a couple people that wanted to know about like the coffee and the caffeine. Decaf coffee's fine, right?
Yes. I would say fine in that if that's kind of what you want to do in the middle as you're trying to get off, sweet, but long-term, not so great because they do use chemicals to take the caffeine out of coffee beans. So that's the only part as a nutritionist. I'm like, I would rather you experiment with alternatives if you're just really attached to that coffee first thing. So I know there's a lot of great mushroom teas out there. And even the green teas, I would say if you want having those in the morning, I think those are great. They have a lot more nutrients in them.
Awesome. And then Chris asked if anyone found black cohosh helpful with hot flashes and in what form.
Yeah, if anybody has in the audience, if you want to put that in the chat, that would be great. I will say, yes, I have been aware of black cohosh, but I myself have not tried it, so I can't speak on that.
All right. And then I'm kind of going through here. I can't see who asked it, but they wanted to know if honey was bad too, because they enjoy herbal tea with honey added.
Interesting fact there. I have a friend who's like fanatic about the keto diet. And so she introduced me to this keto honey. and it is 0 on the glycemic index. I will say I try not to use it every day because it's not, the pure whole food that I like to preach. However, if I want a treat, I still am going no sugar. And so the keto honey is one fun way to get that flavor in, but still 0 sugar. But also I would suggest being curious and maybe playing on creating your own, maybe simple syrup with maybe like a monk fruit granule, which is going to be 0. But with honey, yes, it is better than the white sugar, but it's still really high on the glycemic index. And so that's why I really try to shy away from the natural honey.
Okay. And then Laura asks if it's more likely to develop celiac during menopause, or is it just as likely to develop it at any time in one's lifetime?
Awesome question. So I strongly believe that all of us are on the celiac spectrum, whether it's 0 to not a lot to like 10, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die if I get in contact with it. And that's because of the way the wheat has been harvested now. The wheat that we have in our grocery stores, have in our foods, is harvested very differently than it was harvested back when our grandparents were eating wheat. There's a lot more chemicals in the soil. The soil's been turned over so much, there's not a lot of nutrients left. And so I truly believe, and the research has shown, that that's what's triggering that immune response in pretty much all of our guts. So I guess to be direct with that question, yes, I think it's not triggered by menopause. I think it's all of us. I think it's the young girls, the young boys. I think it's all of us.
So there's a question about like cutting out, you've cut out all the sugar that you could possibly cut out and you still don't see a difference. Like, what would you do in that case? Like,
Yeah. So I would absolutely, one, of course, can't overstate, talk to my doctor. And if that doctor's not giving you the answers you want, find another doctor. Like, I'm really big on people self-advocating. So that's one. 2, from a nutritional standpoint, I really want to encourage you to increase your fats. And that's for all of us, because the healthy fats are what's going to be feeding our brains. And so that's going to be like our almonds, almond oil, olive oil, made in your vinaigrettes to put over your salads. The more fat we have in our diet, the less sugar cravings we're going to have as well.
mm-hmm.
And so that's intuitively, that's my first thought on that question.
Right. And Laura says it's hard to find a good doctor, which these days it does seem to be. There's definitely, that's a story for another day.
I'm sorry, Laura. That is frustrating.
And then I'm trying to see. Okay. So when you were talking about water, I've got to put these in, trying to remember what the context was. When you were talking about water, Laura asked, how much above the minimum is safe?
Great question. And Laura and Allison, before I answer that, because I want to answer, but it also, I would feel neglectful if I didn't bring this up, but this book, Keto Green 16 by Dr. Anna Kabaka, I'm not endorsed by her or anything like that, but this has been an amazing book and resource on my journey. And she also includes delicious recipes. And so when you're talking about not being able to find a doctor, that's kind of what triggered my memory, which is she is an OBGYN and she is a female that has gone through menopause. So she really gets it. And so Keto Green 16, it might be a great resource for you as you are seeking out that great doctor. All right. So now as far as the water and drinking over the limit, well, one, I'm a little jealous. Like, how do you find time to go over the limit? But for real, secondly, I don't know that there is. Like, again, it comes back to listening to your body. So if you're feeling like let's just pretend you're 150 pounds and let's say you're meant to have the 75 ounces of water every day. And let's say you get that up to 90 ounces. Well, I would say if you're feeling good, then keep on. Like, I don't think you can ever be too hydrated. Obviously, we've heard these horror stories of people, getting sick and ending up in the hospital. But as long as you're listening to your body and you're not like retaining the water, I say go for it.
Okay. And then were you saying that would the water that you drink as you exercise, because you should always drink water as you're exercising, does that count towards your ounces, your recommended ounces?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That it counts. And I would say if you are more active, to absolutely increase the water from there. And your body's going to tell you. I mean, my kids already know, like if their lips are a little chapped, they already know I'm going to say, you're dehydrated, drink some water. So pay attention. If you have chapped lips, that means your body is already dehydrated. If your skin is feeling dry, you are dehydrated. If you're just feeling like you've got, scratchy throat, you're likely dehydrated. So drink as much as you can when you can.
And then Bobby was asking if it has to be plain water or does unsweetened iced tea count? And she's in Florida and just drinks a lot of unsweetened iced tea.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds delicious. And I wouldn't be surprised if you might be fighting the hot flashes because, yes, iced tea does have caffeine in it. With that said, I've noticed there's a lot of new products on the line for flavored waters that aren't based out of chemicals and have the 0 grams of sugar. So if it's just that flavor that you're looking for, I would encourage you to get curious about some perhaps flavors you could add to your water. And I know I'm a little biased because even if I weren't a nutritionist, like I just really, really love water. Like I love the way it tastes. I love the way it makes me feel. So I don't know if that helps for you to hear that, to maybe bring that in for yourself to enjoy the water.
Yeah, I think Tammy just asked like what's good to put in water. And, my first thought is any kind of fruit, mint, cucumber, lemon.
Cucumber's a good one.
Yeah.
And
So,
Jenny's asking about the unflavored carbonated water. Yes, that's actually one of my hip tips when I want to feel fancy, whether we're going out or having dinner here at the dining room table. I'll take a wine glass and I'll pour in sparkling water and I just feel a little fancy. But yes, I count that as one of my glasses of water as well.
what about like the flavor? Is she saying the unflavored sparkling or the flavored sparkling?
Yeah, so I
Like
would
the
say
LaCroix, and I probably just butchered that, but sorry.
no, you got it. That's great. I would say listen to your body once again. With that said, LaCroix, when I drink it, I feel funny. I don't know what that is. And I've heard from other friends. And I've gone to their website and it says it's gluten-free. So I don't know what that is, but I love, just personally, I really love the Waterloo. Like we get packs of that from Costco. So we can get a little cheaper at Costco. And even the Kroger's brand sparkling water, we drink those cans and I feel great when I drink those.
Yeah. Or what about, do you know about like liquid IV?
Say it again, liquid.
Liquid IV. It's supposed to actually boost your hydration.
Oh, yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Is it something you drink or is it something that's injected?
No, it's something you drink. It comes in like a little packet and you just pour it in your water and it's supposed to give you like double I think it's like electrolytes and all kinds of stuff. It's a hydration multiplier.
Okay. I'll have to look into that.
Electrolyte drink mix.
Well, as long as it is chemical free and sugar free, I would be very curious. So yeah, thank you. I'll look that up.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Also, I want to jump in and thank Laura because it looks like she's helping with the fats. Because I noticed somebody said they were allergic to nuts. So Laura, I absolutely love your suggestions, which is the seeds. So you've got your sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. Ooh, pumpkin seeds are an amazing source of iron and fiber. I try to put those in my smoothies in the morning and sometimes on my gluten-free granola with my yogurt. I do coconut yogurt, unsweetened, which is absolutely delicious and a great source of fat. Sunflower butter can be delicious. And olive oil. Yes. Laura, you get an A+. Well done. And
Yeah,
thank you.
I was just gonna shout out too that, like, as we're sitting here discussing these past questions, somebody, I'm not sure it's Laura or there's just a bunch of people that are just filling in. So I just appreciate everybody's input, and we're all in it together, right? One more question from Tammy. She says, if purchasing water in a store, you want purified or spring, is there a difference?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Purified makes me think that it's gone through, I guess that makes sense, a purification. So that might be stripping out some of the minerals, but also it's stripping out some of the chemicals. So I think the mineral water is always going to be your best bet, but depending on where you live and what you have access to, the purified water, of course, yes, I would rather you have clean water without the toxins, because you can always replace the minerals through supplementation. So awesome question.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. So thank you so much. It's been great discussions in the chat. And like I said, I just love how everybody's kind of pitching in and throwing out what they know and what has worked for them, which is fantastic. And I've just got to say, personally, I have tried Michelle's tips and I have found that they have all worked when I do them, when I am paying attention and I'm doing well, they absolutely work. I'm not perfect, but yeah. So anyway, thank you everybody so much. And Michelle, thank you for just a great presentation and just great information. And we will be back next month with eating for more energy. And you know what? Michelle, do you know what we're making next month? I know, but
yes,
I can't remember.
I'm very excited. We'll be back and we'll be actually in my kitchen as I'm pointing that way. We'll be making some veggie fried rice, and I've got a really special dessert. And this will be especially for my friends who are kind of pushing back on the sugar. I'll show you how to make some delicious dessert in an alternative way that will be great. So that's August 3rd. And then we'll be back in the office to chat more nutrition items on September 7th. So first Thursdays of the month. And I would love to have you all back. This has been truly a gift. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm going to make it really super easy for you guys. Keep an eye out for your thank you email, because in that will be a recording of the whole presentation, the same handout that you've gotten that we've tried to get you through this whole thing, another one of those, a fun survey to let us know how we did. And then I will also put the registration link for Eating for More Energy next month. We'd love to have you. And somebody just got here from Arizona, and no worries, because we recorded the whole thing. So, and if you end up having a question for Michelle, you can just always email us by replying to your confirmation or your reminder email, and we will get that question to Michelle and she can answer it for you.
I'd be happy to. I'd be honored.
Yeah. So with that, I just want to say thank you to everybody, and we will see you hopefully next month or next time. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.